Welcome to a brand new segment that we have addressing some of the ridiculous things that Christians can say and what would have been better to say instead. Here today is a doozy that I came across. I actually saw this sign and I just couldn't believe it. This is actually basically what sparked the idea for this series, because this does not help anyone. I saw a sign that said, you ready for it? You don't have problems. You need Jesus. Let that one sink in for a second. You don't have problems. You need Jesus. If I don't have problems, I don't need anything. So that doesn't quite work in the first place. Secondly, that's comparing apples and oranges. Now, if it said, you don't need blank, you need Jesus, that would at least make sense. Maybe we could argue the point, but it would at least make sense. But to say you don't have problems, you need Jesus, that does not make sense at all. What I think the person was trying to say is that Jesus is the answer to all of your problems. I can sympathize with that. I appreciate what they are trying to say. But at the end of the day, this is not a helpful thing to say, aside from how just nonsensical it is. But it's not helpful even in its intent. And here's why. It is dismissing the problem that the person has. It is rushing to a solution without actually hearing it. Now, we all have problems. We all have stuff that bugs us. We all have difficulties in life. And the person is assuming that, even though they're saying you don't have a problem, they are assuming you do because it's going to get your attention. And even though most Christians wouldn't necessarily put it in these terms, this is very similar to what a lot of Christians do. They rush past hearing your problem in order to push the solution of trusting God or following Jesus. Now, I understand. Christianity has been meaningful to you, and you want to help other people find that same meaning and purpose and hope that you have. That's not a bad thing. It's not even a bad thing to say, hey, my faith in Jesus has really helped me, and I think it could help you through this problem too. But to push that before you have even heard the problem is insensitive, and you're actually driving people away. So what could we say instead of this? Well, honestly, you wouldn't have just some pithy one-line thing you could put on a sign that would help somebody's problem. If it can fit on a sign, it's probably not actually changing anybody's problem that day. To make a difference in someone's life, you actually have to get to know them. You actually have to take time to hear their story before you push that sort of thing. But let's say you've already done that. What could you say instead of your problems aren't real, you just need Jesus? Well, you could validate the person's experience. Even if it isn't the experience you've had, even if you don't necessarily agree with it, you can say things like, wow, that sounds really hard, or I'm sorry that that has been your experience, or wow, that would be an awful thing to have to go through. And then here's the kicker. You say, is there any way that I can help? Or can I help you in any way? Or something like that. Don't just automatically rush in and push your solution. See what the person actually wants. They may just want a listening ear. They may not want your religion pushed on them at that point. And mind you, this is even said to other Christians who already believe in Jesus. And what you're doing at that point is kind of telling them that their faith in God isn't as strong as yours, so they just need to believe more. That doesn't help anybody. And I know that is not at all what is intended, but that is absolutely what comes across a lot of times. So before you say something like this, dismissing somebody's problems, consider what it's like when you have problems, and consider what you want to hear from other people. Maybe a faith-based encouragement would help, or maybe they just need someone to listen, or maybe they just don't need a random stranger to put this sign out there when they didn't ask for it.